Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. And ain't it a hot room today. Now we've just literally done a video on heating our spiders, which went out on Monday. Hopefully it was very useful. Shows a little bit about what we do and how we get around doing the different bits and pieces that we do. And then all of a sudden, here in the UK, we have come into this heat wave. And it is really hot. And one of the things that, just turn my phone off, one of the things that we have noticed very much in the last few days, if we have been getting lots and lots of messages regarding this heat, people worrying about how hot it is and everything else. Now, as you know, here in our room, we normally sit around about sort of like 78 to 80 degrees in here. And the heater is not on at all. But our room temperature, if we come and have a quick look over here, if you see here, this is one of our thermometers here. And you can see there, it's actually 87.3. Now it has dropped down just a little bit because we've had the door open. So that is already, it's been around about 8 to 10 degrees higher than what it normally is. And also when we first came in here, our room humidity was up at 66. We've now dropped down to 56 because we had the door open. So we've allowed all of that humid air to go outside. Now we've closed the door again, it will start rising again. Now, one of the reasons that our room has become so warm is obviously because of the outside temperature. So that means our house has got warmer. The air temperature outside is much warmer. When we come into our spider room, this is a closed room normally, so we keep the door shut and we run our oil-filled radiator which runs on a thermostat. So we set that to the temperature that we require and that stays on permanently all summer long. That is left switched on, and the thermostat only cuts in when our room temperature drops. Now our oil-filled radiator is stone cold. That has not been on for some days now, not at all. But where we are getting heat is from the lighting under here. Now we're using LED lights, and despite what everyone seems to think, that LEDs do not give off heat, they do actually give off quite a bit of heat. And we've been utilizing the heat from the LED lights in order to heat some of our enclosures that like a little bit of extra warmth, and also for those that need that are dropping egg sacs and things like that. We find that extra couple of degrees normally sets them off. It does really well. But what it has done now is, because all of the external temperatures, like outside, in the home, everywhere else, because everything is much higher because we're in this heat wave, these lights are throwing my room up out to sort of like, I mean, what, we're on 87. This was I think it was 88 or 89 when we came in the room, so it was just under 90 degrees in here. And so it's almost 10 degrees higher than what we normally have. Now that in itself is not going to be an issue for our spiders. You'll see many of the spiders are out and about, they're all sitting around, they're chilling out, and it's not actually a problem. Where the problem lies is in humidity and water. So what we do when it's like this, the weather forecast is saying we're going to have this for a few days. It's only going to be a few days. It's not going to be long. And I can hear all of you good subscribers out there in America and things like that. You know, we've hit, I think we had 29 degrees today. Well, it might have touched 30 degrees in just places. And I can hear all of our overseas subscribers going, that's just a spring day. What is he worrying about? You know, well, here it's quite a big deal. this is really, really hot for us guys, you know.
And we have it muggy and humid.
Yeah, very humid here, so it's not the best temperature. Now, so the temperature in itself is we're hitting up in the 90 degrees in the room is not a major problem for our spiders. Many people get worried that their spiders are going to get too hot. That is never ever going to be an issue in the UK. I mean, we've had it where our room has been up in the mid 95s and we still haven't had any issues regarding our spiders. Where we do find that we get issues is in the water that we're providing. Now, many people start spraying their enclosures with the false theory that this will cool the enclosure down. It actually does the absolute opposite. It's the worst thing you can do. So what we do here, we even, when it starts getting really hot, like it's coming up into the 90 degrees in here, we will even allow our water bowls to dry out. So we don't want any of that extra humidity in our room. We don't want it inside our enclosures. Now, we suffer a lot less than most here because we've got mesh tops on the vast majority of our enclosures. So we don't worry too much in that respect. But where the humidity can be a problem is things like the plastic cereal boxes up here. All our pokies are sitting out. They're enjoying this heat. They like this heat. But we have to be very, very careful about the amount of humidity that we get inside them boxes. Now, because it's a small box, and we can show it sort of here, with this is a robustum in here, and these guys actually really do like the humidity. They really do. They're very, very keen on it. And as you can see in here, this has got a dampness to it inside here, and this is just its regular dampness. You'll notice the water bowl there is absolutely dry. There's no water in there because we purposely have not wanted to fill this up. Now this spider in this condition can go for, you know, 3, 4, 5 days, no problem at all, with no water. Now I know this is going to sound a little bit weird, and many people will be, you know, throwing their hands up in the air. No water in this heat, absolutely madness. But it's more important that we keep the humidity level down, especially in these boxes, because air and ventilation within these boxes is very poor. We don't get any airflow as such. There's air holes in it, but this doesn't create enough of an airflow to disperse the high humidity within the box. So we have to pay more attention to the amount of humidity in the box rather than the heat that we're suffering from, if this makes any sense. Now, if we look at, let me put the lid back on that. So normally you will hear us say that whatever we're doing with our spiders, as long as they've got fresh water, they will be fine. And that normally is the case. But what we're having to do now is, because we've got this heat, we don't want that extra humidity, which means that we can allow our water bowls to dry out, because all of our spiders are healthy. They're all in tip-top condition. There's nothing wrong. Now, if we look in this one here, this is a very good example of an enclosure, a plastic enclosure that is going to sweat if we're not careful. So as you can see, we've got air holes here. She is actually molted out in here as well. She is just molted out. Look at that. Never saw that. So she is just molted out, and some of that will come down to this heat. You see her in there. There's a couple of little flies in there hanging around for the molt. These come from the crickets. But she'll be fine. Now, with these air holes here, they do provide some ventilation, but it's not a great deal. Now, when we chose to use these boxes, we wanted these boxes because We were hoping to try and breed our pokies, and then the high humidity that we can gain in these boxes, we were hoping was going to actually get them to drop their sacks better. So it was a bit of an experiment, but that works in that instance at our normal temperatures. But when we're looking at 90, 95 degrees, we don't want these boxes sweating. That is going to cause us problems. So you'll notice in this one, the water bowl is dry. It is dry. There is no water in here. There's a little bit of humidity within the soil, but very, very little. So what I'm saying is we can actually hold back on the water. One, because our spiders are in perfect condition. They are fully hydrated, and they're all feeding. We can still feed in this weather, and that will give enough of nutrients and fluid in their food to be able to carry them through. They don't need to necessarily have the water at this point. Now, I can hear, I can hear everyone go, of course they need water. They do need water. But what I'm saying to you is we can allow ourselves to starve the water for like a week or so. Around about a week or so is not going to cause us any issues. This heat wave that we've got is only going to be down for 3 or 4 days. And then they're saying that the temperatures are going to drop back down to normal. So we can allow our spiders to go without water for them 3-4 days. It's not going to be a problem. But if we were to fill all our water bowls, especially in this type of enclosure, with the added heat that we've got, it will throw the humidity up in here to a stifling degree. So we have to be very, very careful. The water is the killer in the heat. Now it's I know it's quite difficult for some of you to get your heads around not having water in heat. It does sound very, very backward, but the humidity that the water bowls create is far more dangerous than the heat itself. So if we can get rid of the water bowls, we can keep the humidity levels down. I mean, we're noticing in here now, the humidity's climbing up slowly. It's 57. I am sweating buckets in here. It's very, very sticky. And this is just the outside humidity in the room. If you go through and you'll look at the bowls, most of these bowls are dry. Some of them have got a little bit left in there, just where they're literally just the last little bits of evaporating. Things like our roaches and stuff, they all get their water through their food. So basically, you've got to remember that even your high humidity species, things like the pokies, the theraphosas, they all like a bit of humidity as well. Most of our spiders that we keep enjoy a certain amount of humidity, but it can also be a killer. So best thing to remember is do not spray your enclosures, because that will cause you major, major problems. And worst case scenario might cause the death of your spider. So whatever you do, if anyone tells you spraying your enclosure will cool it down, tell them the error of their ways, and don't do it. Just don't do it. Now then, when we come to other enclosures, we often keep our spiderlings in our little tiny pill pots here. Now we got one here actually. This is a species silica, this one here. And as you can come over and have a look, you can see there is hardly any moisture in that soil, but our spider is doing really, really well. And as you know, when we're doing our sling pots, we don't have water bowls in our sling pots. So our spiders are getting by purely on the food that we give them. And that is giving them all of the nutrients and the liquid form that they need to stay hydrated. Now, if we've got spiders that are very dry and we need to literally just offer them a little bit of water, in a pot like this, if we look at this now, in a pot like this, if I can do this very, very gently, you got a clear shot at that. You see that? So what we're looking at now, if we were to put water in, there you go. You see there, we just literally put a couple of drops on the side, and that is just going to dribble down into that soil. So you can see there the amount of water that's there. That's a very, very small amount. Now even that small amount like that, once that seeps down into the soil, in very, very high temperatures, that will evaporate and create a vast amount of humidity within this tub. So as you can see there, just that very small amount can be quite dangerous in that environment. It's a very small environment. So you're much better off keeping your spider as we have this one. There is nothing in here, by the way. This is just used just purely to show what we're trying to explain. But keeping your spiderlings in these and keeping them dry in this weather, they'll be fine. And then what we can do is once the temperatures drop down, we can give them a little bit more. Now, we also keep some of our spiderlings in these. Now, you've seen these when we do the shows and stuff. Now, this is a skeleton leg in here, and there it is there. You can just about see it. You see him there on the end of my finger. Just see him on the edge of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got him. Now, this in here, this is dry. This substrate is very dry. Now, as we know, the skeleton legs do enjoy a little bit of humidity. But in this weather, we're allowing it to dry out. And we're going to let this go. This has got the very barest of moisture to it. There's hardly anything whatsoever. It's almost nothing there. So it's pretty much dry. And we will allow this to stay like this for the next few days until the temperatures drop off. And then once they drop off, we'll get our water and we'll add a little bit onto here, straight onto our moss. And then if our spider is thirsty, it will come and drink from the moss. But it's going to be, these are in perfectly good order. They're in very good condition. So they can survive a few days. All we're going to do is give them some food. So we will carry on feeding. So although we're not providing our water bowls, we will carry on feeding. So it's very important that you still feed your spiders. And then that way they will get the fluids that they need. Right, I think that sort of like covers it. So just remember, it's more important in the plastic boxes, things like these. It's very, very important. These sweat something terrible. So it's very important that you keep it down, even for your high humidity spiders. Keep the humidity down in these really, really hot days, and your spiders will appreciate it. They'll do far better for it. Any of your mesh tanks, you can get more leeway. You can do a little bit more. I mean, we could, if we only had a few tanks, and just in our home, we could fill our water bowls and they would be fine. Especially if they're out in like things like your living room, things like that. We keep our temperatures a little bit higher because we're doing different things. But if you just got 1 or 2 tanks in your room, in your living room, wherever it might be, then you will get away with it a little bit better. But even in that situation, if you've got your spiders in these sort of boxes, or these, or the Braplast boxes, these tubs here, they will all sweat. So just be very, very careful, and if needs be, remove that water bowl and just replace it in a couple of days when the temperatures go down. Your spiders will be fine. Right. Well, I hope that sort of helped out. We had some lovely comments on the video we put out on Monday. That was really cool. Yeah, if you've got any ideas of videos you'd like to see, or maybe we've got something that you'd like to see a bit more of, or whatever, do put it down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Very, very helpful. And yeah, and we can see what we can do. But yeah, I hope that was helpful, and hopefully put your minds at ease with this really, really hot weather. Right, now then, I've got to go and cool down. I am sweating buckets. Right, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you soon, guys.